Hello all, welcome to this course on farm water management, postcode AG60104. So we were in the ninth module, and in today's class, so this is the fifth lecture of ninth module, which is on subsurface and design. My name is Amay Pathak from Agriculture and Food Engineering Department, IIT Kharagpur. So in today's class, we'll going to see the non-steady state conditions and the formulas or the equations that are actually meant for non-steady state conditions. So, but before that, let's see what we have discussed in the past classes or like last class we can see. So in the last class, we started with the steady state formula, and we have discussed the Hoogout formula, and we have seen what are the assumptions for Hoogout formula. So assumptions were like soil is homogeneous and isotropic, and Darcy's law should be valid. Uh, then impermeable layer, we assume the impermeable layer underneath the drain, and the hydraulic gradient is essentially at the hydraulic gradient at any point in the flow regime is essentially equal to the slope of water table. And drains do not have the entry resistance, and flow through drains is half full. So these are also assumptions for Hoogout formula. And then we started deriving the Hoogout formula, and initially we assumed that total head loss or total H or total head is equal to, which is actually essentially coming from horizontal flow, head loss due to horizontal flow and the radial flow. And then we have seen that what are the difficulties in that, and then we have considered the concept of equivalent depth. In that, flow is essentially horizontal. So indirectly we are considering the uh, like effect of radial flow that is converging towards the drain. So we have seen the concept of equivalent flow, and based on that we have come to this equation: H is equal to Q LH square by 8K dH, and then we have derived the expression for discharge through this drain for steady state, because in steady state recharge is equal to discharge. So Q is equal to 8K dH upon L square plus 4K H square by L square. Okay. So based on this equivalent flow condition, so D is actually your equivalent flow condition by assuming one impervious layer, uh, imaginary impervious layer uh, above the actual impervious layer, so that the flow lines can be, we can apply the Dupuit functional assumption, and flow lines essentially will be horizontal, and indirectly we'll be able to consider the radial flow in this case as well. And then we have seen if the hydraulic conductivity is different below and above drainage, then we can substitute those value of K1 and K2 here. Then we have seen the equivalent depth is actually a function of depth to the stratum, impervious layer stratum, length, spacing, and the weight entry parameter. And these are the analytical expression for these two cases when D is greater than L by 4 and D less than L by 4. So if we consider that the like in like when the flow above drainage base, if it's neglected, then we can only consider this part. This part can be neglected. Okay, so this can be done when the D is far greater than H, so will be essentially the horizontal flow. Okay. Okay, then we have seen the procedures to solve this equation. So there are two ways uh, to solve for the spacing in Hoogout formula. First is the graphical method, in which actually first we assume like one particular spacing, and based on whatever depth to impervious stratum is there, we get the value of equivalent depth D that we substitute in the equation. And find what is the estimated value of L. If the estimated value of L is equal to our assumed value, then we continue with that. Otherwise, we have to assume the next value and do the same step again. Another approach is to have this graphical formula, in which we solve for 8 on 2 y-axis. We have the value of 8K2H by Q and 4K1H square by Q. Okay, and then we find this value, and we try to find out the values that are matching with uh, the value of this one, and depth to impervious stratum, and that spacing we can select. using this graphical formula. So these are the two approaches that we have seen. And then we have seen the relationship between L and different components in the Hooke's equation that we have seen. So this was essentially for steady state condition. Now in today's class, we are going to see the non-steady state condition. But let's have like a discussion on steady versus non-steady state approach. So, okay, so we know that if we talk about the crop growth and soil workability, so these two things are actually related with the actual water table fluctuation in response to the whatever recharge is happening. So essentially is actually, if you can talk about the like the drainage process is like kind of non-steady process, but most of the designs are normally based on the steady state condition. So if we assume the steady state condition, or if we go with the steady state condition, so what we are assuming, we are actually solving for so idea behind the steady state approach is actually, or steady state criteria is that we are going to like we are designing with the condition of average recharge, average value of recharge Q and average water table H, and non-steady behavior is being indirectly captured in the steady state computer. Since we are designing for the average condition, so we are taking care of fluctuation like that. The system design according to this criteria, that is steady state criteria, control the high water table occurrence to within acceptable limits as regards frequency and magnitude, so that indirectly it is taking into account the non-steady state nature of the drainage process. So, but the limitations of the steady state approach is that it fails to model, or they are less applicable in climate where the recharge is mostly governed by the more intense or more discrete storms of shorter durations, or essentially if when the recharge is essentially the is favoring more unsteady behavior. So in that case, steady state condition uh, is not applicable. Okay, so let's see first approach. Suppose the water table is falling. Okay, so it means like once we irrigated, or up to the period of irrigation, the water table is falling. So initially water table was at some level, and because of the irrigation event, or like rainfall event, water table has risen to some particular level, and from that level it is falling slowly. So this is a case of like falling water table that is actually non-steady, which actually represent the non-steady behavior. Okay, so this approach we can use the approach given by Glover-Dunn to solve falling water table. So in this approach, or you can say in this approach, we are actually going to adopt we are actually going to model the non-steady behavior. So this Glover-Dunn equation is used to describe the falling water table after its sudden rise due to instantaneous recharge. So what we are saying that initially, so let's say, sorry. So let's say this is your soil, and this is your impervious layer, and this is your drainage base. So water table after the application of irrigation or like rainfall, water table has risen to this level, and after that it is slowly falling. Okay, so it is slowly falling. Okay, so that behavior is actually unsteady behavior, and that can be modeled with the help of Glover-Dunn equation. So this approach is actually we are describing the falling water table after it's risen to one particular depth due to instantaneous recharge, and it is slowly falling. So this is a typical situation in irrigated areas where the shallow water table often rises sharply during the application of irrigation water and then recedes. So during the once you apply irrigation, it has risen to one particular level, and then it start to recede slowly. Okay. So this kind of behavior can be modeled with the help of this Glover-Dunn equation. So essentially what we are talking about that, so since we are talking about the falling water table, so this H is actually kind of so we are talking about some time step. So this H is actually kind of or we can say when H is less than this D, and this is far less than the spacing between two drains. When H, that is actually the head, is less than the equivalent depth, and which is again far less than the spacing between the drains, the flow will essentially will be horizontal flow. Okay, so the flow will be essentially horizontal. Uh, so in that case, the flow will be essentially horizontal. Okay, so we all know that how to write the horizontal flow expression. So we have seen in the previous classes. So let's say Qx is at one particular point. Let's say Qx is actually your horizontal flow, uh, which is represented by Qx, and we can apply a Darcy's law. So Darcy's law can be applied using by assuming the Dupuit-French assumption is the flow lines or streamlines are parallel and equipotential lines are vertical. Okay, and like this gradient is actually subjected to so the velocity profile is or velocity is actually or flow is actually subjected to the this water table gradient. So that is your Dupuit-French assumption. So by using the Darcy's law and assuming one particular vertical plane of unit width, we can apply Darcy's law. So Qx can be written as that is a flow horizontal flow is equal to K, that is hydraulic conductivity, horizontal hydraulic conductivity multiplied by DH, that is actually your conceptual average thickness. Remember, we are assuming the uh, like uh, unit width. So this is DH times 1. So DH is actually conceptual average thickness uh, of horizontal flow zone, which is actually equal to D plus H by 2. Okay, multiplied by the hydraulic gradient. Okay, so which is actually dHx by dx. Okay, so this is your Darcy's law, which actually tells you the horizontal flow, okay, in x direction. Okay, so this is one expression to write the horizontal flow in the ditches. Okay, now similar to that, we can also write another equation. So we have seen this equation. So horizontal flow can be written by this. Another way to write this actually, if we consider, so if we go to previous figure, so let's say this portion. So let's say this is your x2. Sorry, this is your x2, and this is sorry. So this is x2 and this x1. So we are measuring x from this one. So here x is equal to 0. Here x is equal to L by 2. Okay. So here this is let's say x1 and x2. So and x2 minus x1 is actually your delta x, and from this point to this point there is a change in head. Okay. So if you consider this portion, so if now we are considering this portion. Okay. Okay. So if you talk about this portion, so on right hand side you can see. So you have the value, the horizontal flow is actually Q x plus dx. On left hand side you have Qx plus Qx. Within this thing, within this portion, you are receiving recharge that is denoted by Q multiplied by this delta x. And the hydraulic gradient, that horizontal hydraulic gradient is falling from this point to this point. So that is represented by dHx by dx. So if we write a water balance, like water balance for this small elemental volume of width of length delta x below the water table, then we can write in this way. So here actually with respect, so remember we are talking about the non-steady behavior. So between time t2 minus t1, how head is horizontal head is changing. So dHx by dt multiplied by this delta x, that is actually in this column. So dHx by dt into delta x. That is actually how this is falling with respect to time. Remember, this is porous material, so we have to take care of the drainable pore space. So multiplied by drainable porosity. So this is drainable pore space multiplied by dHx by dt multiplied by this delta x. Okay. So this will be essentially will give us the what is happening here. Okay, so that is actually equal to q plus qx plus delta x plus this recharge that is happening over this portion, that is q multiplied by delta x. So qx plus delta x plus q delta x minus qx, that is actually your this term. Okay, so this is one equation, and this we can rearrange this equation in this way. So mu dhx by dt is equal to, so you can write qx plus delta x minus qx by uh, delta x is equal to dqx by dx plus q. Okay, so this equation can be written like this. So now we have two equations. So this equation we have seen, which is based on the Darcy's law, and now this equation. Now if you substitute the value of qx from this equation into this equation, so value of qx if you substitute here, we can write in this way. So we can come up with this expression, and rearranging this term, we can write this expression. So this is actually this is showing the non-steady behavior. So dhx by dt is equal to k dh by mu multiplied by del square hx by dx del square del x square plus q by mu. So this is essentially this shows the how horizontal head is actually changing with respect to time. So this is actually a Bose-Einstein equation which describes the position of water table under non-steady state recharge. Okay. Okay. Now, so we have come up with this expression. So same thing is written here. So now, as we have seen that the change in position of the water table under non-steady state behavior can be represented by this expression. That is actually a Bose-Einstein equation. Now, if you put a limit here, so let's say this is one case. So let's say this is initial water table at time t is equal to 0. So initially, when the drainage is not happening, when there is this, when just after the, like, so let's say this is at time t is equal to 0. This is a water table which is actually uh, at a height like h0 from this drainage base. So everywhere height is h0. Hx is equal to h0 everywhere, because this drainage system is not working at that time. So at time t is equal to 0, you have hx is equal to h0 for all values of x. So which implies that the fact that initially water table is horizontal at a height h0 above this drainage base. So above this drainage base, this is h0, and this is your initial water table at time t is equal to 0. Now at any time t greater than 0, so drainage is happening. So if you see at this point and this point, that is at x is equal to 0 and at x is equal to L, so h will be equal to 0. H will be maximum at the midway. Okay, but here it will be essentially equal to 0. So at t greater than 0, at t greater than 0, h will be 0 at x equal to 0 and x is equal to L. So this implies that instantaneous lowering of potential to 0 into the drains. Okay. So now according to Blow-Adam equation, the mid-spacing water table head, this is the mid-spacing water table head at time t is equal to t, that is denoted by ht, can be related with the initial time step t is equal to 0 when the water table head was at 0. So Blow-Adam has, so this equation can be, so this according to Blow-Adam equation, ht by h0 is equal to 1.16 e to the power minus alpha t. Okay. So this is actually how we are relating these two cases. So ht upon h0, that is a head at water table, height of water table at time t is equal to t, and this is height of water table at time t is equal to 0. The ratio of these two is equal to 1.16 times e to the power minus alpha t, where alpha is actually your reaction factor. Alpha is actually your reaction factor that actually denotes the intensity. That is actually index of intensity with which, so this denotes the index of intensity with which drain discharge rate responds to the change in recharge. Again, here 1.16 is actually a term that is actually represent the shape of falling water table. That is actually kind of fourth order parabola. So to account for that thing, this is 1.16. Here the other terms you know. So alpha is actually reaction factor that we have just seen, which is the unit is per day. Mu is actually your drainable pore space, which is meter cube per meter cube. L is actually your drain spacing. D is actually your equivalent depth to impermeable substratum, and K is actually your hydraulic conductivity in meter per day. So yeah, so this is expression. So we have seen so these two conditions actually yields Gordon formula. We describe the uh, rate of fall of water table after the water table has risen to a one particular level at time t is equal to 0 at 0, and then it is depleting. So it represents the typical behavior of shallow water table in irrigated land, which often rises sharply to this level, and then like it slowly depletes. Okay. So using this equation, we can write this one st upon s. So we can model, uh, we can represent these two cases. Okay. So combining this one, we can write L square is equal to 10k dt upon mu into natural log into 1.16 h 0 by h3 raised to x minus 1. Okay. So this is a Grodin equation, which actually represent the, which is actually essentially more can where we can have uh, the the change of water table head, water table depth with respect to time at time t is equal to 0 to time t is equal to 2. So here, another important thing we have to note, we have to take care, we have to notice here that here we are using the equivalent depth, not the total depth T, so that the radial resistance also is taken into account. So this equivalent depth, so this we have seen when we are discussing about the steady state condition. So this D is related with is a function of, so the smaller D equivalent depth is a function of depth to impermeable stratum spacing and wet interparameter. So using this relation, we can estimate the value of D, or using the tabular approach or graphical approach, we can calculate the value of D. So let's see one example here in which problem is given like this. So find the spacing of non-steady basic design criteria. The criteria is given here. At time t is equal to 0, at h0 is equal to 0. That is h0 is actually your uh, depth of midway spacing water table. Okay. Uh, okay. So initially it is given that at time t is equal to 0, the water table is actually near to the is at the soil surface here. Okay. And at time t is equal to 4, h is equal to 0.8 meters. So we have to take care of this criteria. So we are starting from soil surface, and after like 4 days, let's say 4 days, h should be at 0.8 meter from the soil surface. That is your design criteria, and for this we have to come up with the spacing. Okay. So this is the problem that other information is given here actually. So the depth to the drainage base is actually 1.2. D is given as 4 meter. H values are given for time t is equal to 0, 0, and time t is equal to 4 is equal to 0.8. And based on that, we can calculate the value of water table uh, water table head, water table height at mid spacing at h0. So h0 it will be, so 1.2 minus 0. So water table will be initially here, and after 4 days it is come here. So that means 1.2 minus this h is equal to 0.8. So 1.2 minus 0.8 is equal to 0.4. So initial h0 is 1.2, final h4 should be 0.4. So these are the conditions given. Now substitute the values in this equation. ht upon h naught is equal to 1.16 e to the power minus alpha t. So ht is known. Ht just we have calculated. Ht means time t is equal to 4. That is 0.4. H naught is your 1.2. is equal to 1.16 e to the power minus alpha t. Okay, so this ratio is actually 0.33. If you put it here, this is 1.16, so 0.33 divided by 1.16 is equal to minus e to the power minus alpha t. Or you can solve for this one. So alpha t is also given here. T is equal to 4. So you can you can arrive at the value of alpha here. That is the reaction factor. Alpha is equal to 0.31. We also know that alpha is actually that we have seen in the earlier case. So this earlier slide. So alpha is equal to 10 kd upon mu l square. So remember we have to calculate the spacing. So we can transform this into the formula of spacing. So alpha is equal to 10 kd upon mu l square. So k is given, that is 2 meter per day. D actually that we have to find. So we have to find the combination of L and D here. Mu is also given. So mu is given 0.05 meter cube per meter. U, that is the wet enthalpy parameter, is given as 0.2. So substituting the value here. So we know the alpha, we know the mu, we know the k. Okay. So based on that, we can arrive at the expression for relation between L and D. So L square is equal to 1290 D. So now we can see, since we have seen in case of steady state also, the L is a function of D and D is a function of L. So we have seen this kind of table. We can assume some value of L and then we can solve for, and we can assume some value of L in this table, and based on the this D value and this L, we can calculate, we can find the value of D from this table, that we can substitute in the this expression, Hugot expression, and then we can solve for L. Okay, if the L assumed and the L estimated the same, then we can take that spacing. Otherwise, we can go with the next expression. Okay, so this is the what, let's assume L is equal to 30 and D is given as, capital D is given as 4. Okay, so D is equal to 4 and this 30 is actually your 2.20. So 2.20. So substitute the value here. So substitute the value here. So L estimated is equal to 1290 multiplied by 2.2 from this table. So L estimated is equal to 53.3. So initially we assumed the value of L is equal to 30 meter, and now we estimated at 53.3. So these two are not same. So it means our initial guess is not correct. So we have to take another value of L. So let's assume L is equal to 60 meter. And again, so if you assume L is equal to 60 meter, so let's say L is equal to 60 somewhere here, and for D is equal to capital D, that is there to impermeable term. You have to find using interpolation the value of L is equal to 40. And then let's say that value is coming as D is equal to 2.84. And then if you substitute those values, you can arrive at the estimated value of L 60.5, which is close to our initial assumed value. So we can select this value of D and this value of L. So this spacing can be selected. So this was actually a direct approach. There is another approach to solve this kind of problem, that is indirect approach. So what we can do in indirect approach, so the Glow-Down formula, that is for unsteady state condition, the Glow-Down formula and Hugot formula can be interrelated. So so it means we are enabling the non-steady basic design criteria to be translated into steady state. So we can relate these two equations, which is meant, this is for unsteady, unsteady, and we can solve for unsteady state criteria. So Hugot simple formula, when we assume that flow is essentially horizontal flow. So L square is equal to 8k d h by q, that we have seen in the last class. So L square is equal to 8k d h upon q. And using the Glow-Down formula, we have arrived at this formula, L square is equal to 10k d upon mu alpha. So from this actually we can write h by q is equal to 10 by 8 mu alpha. So this h by q is actually very important quantity. This actually a indicative quantity that can tell us how responsive our actually system is. So h by q is actually indicative of drainage intensity of the system. So if the system is having very small value of this h by q, then it can cope up with very high recharge and can maintain a lower water table. So combining these two, we can have this expression h by q is equal to 10 by 8 mu alpha. Now in the problem, other data that is given to us, alpha we have calculated. So the same way alpha we have calculated here, alpha is equal to 0.31. K is given 2 meter per day, mu is actually 0.05. So h by q we can calculate. So so by substituting this value in this equation, we can calculate the value of h by q, that is 80.65. Now from this, so now if we substitute this value of h by q in this equation, we can come up with the value of, we can arrive at another equation for L square. So L square is equal to 8kd h by q. If you substitute the value of h by q here, then we can have another relation like this, L square is equal to 1290. So same expression here again. Okay, so here again in the similar way, by assuming some value of L and this d value, we can read from this table value of d, and then we can calculate the value of estimated value of L. If the estimated value of L is equal to the assumed value, then we can continue with the same. Otherwise, we have to change. The same approach can be followed. So till now, we have seen the fluctuate. We were talking about the falling water table. That is like one kind of non-steady behavior. There is another kind of non-steady behavior that is your actually fluctuating water table. This kind of fluctuating water table behavior can be modeled by Dziew and Hellinger formula. Okay. So in the Fugate equation, in which the flow was essentially, we were talking about essentially, if we are considering the flow is essentially horizontal flow. And we have written the expression for that, L square is equal to. So since we are talking about the fluctuating flow or unsteady behavior, so flow, we are mostly talking about the essentially the horizontal flow. So from Fugate actually, we have seen this formula, simple formula, L square is equal to 8k dh by q. So this expression can also can be used to arrive at the non-steady behavior. So if you look at this expression closely, so let's say this expression written here, q is equal to, by changing this term, so q is equal to 8k dh by L square. So we can see this q is linearly related with the h. So between q and h, there is a linear relation. So since we are talking about the fluctuating water table, so fluctuation in this one and this one that we are talking about. So since in the simple Fugate formula, we have seen that the q is actually linearly related with the h. So with respect to time also, their behavior will be linear. So dq by dt and dh by dt, that relation will also be linear. So dq by dt is equal to, we can write dq by dt is equal to 8k d by L square into dh by dt. Now, if we see if the groundwater body is recharged by rainfall, if you call recharge, which is either by rainfall or irrigation, by can be denoted by R, and this recharge is actually depleted by drain discharge Q. So these two behavior is represented here. So if recharge is actually is smaller than the discharge, so here Q is discharge. When the recharge is smaller than discharge, or we can say R minus Q is less than 0, then water table will fall. When R minus Q is greater than 0, means recharge is more than discharge, then water table will rise. Okay. So we can come up with this kind of expression. So R minus Q is actually your net recharge in a given time. Okay, if you are talking about a 1 day interval, so in 1 day interval, what is the net recharge? That is your R minus Q. So R minus Q is actually essentially reflected by dH by dt. That is actually how this water table is falling with respect to time. And again, this is multiplied with the drainable pore space. And C is actually your proportionality constant. So net recharge is proportional to mu times dH by dt, and where C is actually your proportionality constant. So let's see this again. So this water fluctuation, it can be described by this formula. So dH by dt is actually a water table fluctuation with respect to time. It can be described by this equation: dH by dt is equal to R minus Q C by mu. Okay. So where R minus Q is actually net recharge, mu is drainable pore space, and C is actually a correction factor, which is approximately equal to 0.7 to 0.9 for H at mid spacing. So during recession, water table. So when we talk about recession, the water table will not horizontal, but it will fall. So when the recession is taking place, the water table will not be horizontal, but it will fall more rapidly near the drain. So this is your drain. So this is the drain. So near the drain, it will fall more rapidly near the drain. So so we can assume a correction factor C here, so which is approximately equal to 0.8, which is suggested by DZU and Hellinga. So if you substitute this value of C here, we can substitute the value of C is equal to 0.8 here. So now we have seen from this previous expression. So we have seen this dq by dt is equal to 8k d by L square into dH by dt. And now we have another expression for R minus Q, which is actually dH by dt multiplied by C mu. Okay. So combining these two expressions, so the value of so from combining these two equations, we can come up with this equation: dq by dt is equal to 10k d upon mu L square R minus Q. So we are substituting the value of dH by dt. dH by dt is equal to R minus Q upon C minus Q. So that if we substitute, so we can see that dq by dt is equal to alpha times R minus Q, or you can say this dq by dt rate of discharge is proportional to the R minus Q, where alpha is actually the reaction factor. Okay. So now if you put the limits for limits of time t is equal to t and time t minus 1 and corresponding discharge at time t is equal to t, q is equal to qt, at time t is equal to t minus 1, qt minus 1 is equal to q is equal to qt minus 1. So if you put this limit here, so if you put dq upon R minus Q, limit qt minus 1 to t, this is previous day to present day integration of this alpha dt. So previous day to, so this is discharge of previous day, discharge of present day, and this is the time previous day to present day. If you integrate this one, so we can come up with this expression here. Okay. So this can be further simplified like this, which can be written like this: qt is equal to qt minus 1 into e to the power minus alpha delta t plus r delta t 1 minus e to the power minus alpha delta t. So here we have taken the average value of r. Okay. So r delta t is actually your mean value of r, mean value of recharge during the time interval t minus 1 to t. So previous day to present day, we are assuming the constant recharge. So in this way, we are actually incorporating the we are, by taking the smaller time step, we are assuming the steady state behavior, and indirectly we are solving the non-steady behavior. So here we are, so here non-steady process is approximated by series of interval during which the recharge R delta t is assumed constant. So so we have considered a very small interval during which this R delta t is constant, and in this way we have approximated the non-steady behavior. So we assume the delta t is equal to 1 in such that the changes occurring during that interval may be described sufficiently by existing steady state formula. So we are assuming a very small time step delta t, assuming that during that time the recharge is essentially constant, and during that time the changes can be like represented by the steady state formula. So and indirectly we are taking care of the non-steady behavior. So qt is equal to qt minus 1 e to the power minus alpha delta t plus r delta t into 1 minus e to the power minus alpha delta t. That is expression for discharge at a given day, and this is discharge of previous day. Alpha is actually reaction factor. We have from the previous we have also seen this h by q. So this H by Q is equal to 10 by 8 mu alpha. Okay. Uh, and Q is equal to 8k dH by L square. So we can come up with this equation. Q is equal to 0.8 into alpha mu H. So substituting these values in this equation, we can arrive at the expression of HT, that is actually water table head at given date at given time t, is equal to HT minus 1, that is the water table head of previous day, into e to the power minus alpha delta t plus r delta t upon 0.8 into alpha mu. Alpha is actually reaction factor, mu is actually a drainable pore space, r delta is actually your mean recharge between time t minus 1 to t, multiplied by 1 minus e alpha delta t. So these two expressions we can see we can be used to simulate the drain discharge and water table depth fluctuation on if you have the weather records. So these two expressions can be used to simulate the discharge as well as the how the water table is fluctuating. So let's see one example on the fluctuating water table case. So in this example, what is given, the water table head and the we have to find the water table head and the drain outflow calculation on the basis of this Diev-Hillinger formula. The Diev-Hillinger formula. So what is given here? So depth of drainage base is given as 1.2 meter. The spacing is given as 40 meter. K into D, that is hydraulic conductivity multiplied by equivalent depth. So K into D is given as 2.5 meters square per day. Mu is given as 5%, that is drainable pore space in terms of percentage. Field capacity is given as 15 mm. Okay, so these are the data. This is the data set that is given to us. Okay, so now first calculate the value of alphas, because we are going to we will be calculating the QT and HT using this expression. So let's calculate different component. Let's calculate this term alpha by substituting a value. So alpha is equal to 10 kd upon mu L square. So k into D is given 2.5, mu is given as 0.05, and L is given as 40. So L square is equal to 1600. So alpha is 0.31. Delta T is given. We can solve for each day, because these are the tabular data that is given to us. So this is the at day 0 there is no rainfall. Day 1 there is 0.02 meter rainfall. Day 2 0.02 meter rainfall. Day 3 0.01 meter rainfall. Evaporation values are also given in mm. We have to find the recharge, water table head fluctuation, and drainage outflow that we have to find out. So initial water table is given to us is equal to 0.1 meter. Now let's calculate the other terms that we are going to need to calculate the discharge at time t and water table head at water table height at time t. So e to the power minus alpha t, to the power minus alpha t is equal to e to the power minus 0.31 multiplied by 1, that is 0.73, and 1 minus e to the power minus alpha t is equal to 0.27, substitute the value. Similarly, 0.8 mu alpha, so 0.8 multiplied by mu 0.05 multiplied by this alpha 0.31 is equal to 0.012. Now let's calculate the values of different terms. Okay. So first calculate the drainage outflow. So at the very beginning, like at the start of drain, at day is equal day is equal to 0 or time t is equal to 0. The water table head that is given to us is equal to 0.1. Or we can say the mid spacing water table head h, or depth this water table head from the soil surface is equal to depth to the drainage base, that is W, minus h, that is 1.2. This value is given to us, minus h initial water table head 0.1, that is 1.1 meter below the soil surface. Okay. So this so water table depth initially is actually 1.1 meter below the soil surface when the water table head was 0. when the water table head was 0.1. Okay, so now you can calculate, you can put this value here, so you can calculate the value of Q from this expression. So this is at the very beginning, so we can use this formula. Q is equal to 8k dH by L square. Okay, so at the very beginning, at time t equal to 0, we can use this formula. Q is equal to 8k dH by L square. So KD is known to us, that is 2.5. H is known to us, which is in the problem, 0.1 divided by L square, that is 40 square. So Q is initially is actually 0.01. So that we can put here. So at time t is equal to 0, drainage outflow is equal to 0.01. Okay. Now we have to calculate the values for other time. Okay. So remember, this data is given, this is also given, other things we have to calculate. Now for time t is equal to 1, we can calculate H1 by putting all the values here. So Ht minus 1 is known to us, that is actually your 0.1. E to the power minus alpha delta t that we have calculated, that is 0.73. 0.8 alpha mu, that also we have calculated 0.02. Only thing is unknown to us is actually right now is R delta t, that is R. So this R we have to calculate. So at the very beginning, the precipitation is 0.02. Okay, precipitation is 0.02, evaporation is happening 0.01. So initially, not all recharge is contributing to the discharge, because first soil has to come up to the field capacity. Okay, because before there was no rain, so recharge will be 0.02 minus 0.01, that is water loss in the evaporation, minus the water retained in the soil, that is 0.015. So 0.02 minus 0.001 minus 0.015, that is actually your 0.004 recharge for day 1. Okay. So now if we put this value, we can get H1 is equal to 0.16. Okay. Similar to that, similarly, we can calculate the value of Q1 here by putting the value, all the values here. So Qt minus 1 initial was, we have calculated 0.01. E to the power minus alpha delta t, we have calculated 0.73. R, we have just calculated here 0.004. And this value 1 minus e to the power minus alpha delta t, that is 0.27. So Q1 for the time t is equal to 1 can be calculated 0.02. Similarly, for time t is equal to 2, we can substitute the values. Now Ht minus 1 is actually your 0.16. E to the power minus alpha delta t is actually your 0.73, plus now you have to calculate the recharge. So recharge now, once the soil is actually retaining the moisture, you can calculate the recharge like this: 0.02 minus 0.001, that is 0.019. That is your recharge value, divided by 0.8 alpha mu, that value is 0.012, multiplied by this value, that is actually 0.27. So this at time t is equal to 2, water table head at time t is equal to 2, or next day is equal to, or present day second day is equal to 0.54. Similarly, we can calculate the value of Q2 here by substituting the value. Qt minus 1 we have calculated for previous day, 0.002, multiplied by this e to the power minus alpha t, 0.73, plus R we have just calculated here, that is mean R between past day and present day, that is 0.019, multiplied by this term 1 minus e to the power minus alpha delta t, that is 0.27. So putting all this value here, Q2 is equal to 0.07. So likewise, we can calculate all the values, and we can solve using this formula. So if you keep solving this thing, you can see at the 10th day, your Q is equal to, there is, so rain has stopped after 5th day, and at the end of like 10th day, your Q is equal to 0.02. Okay, so after this time, so you can see the evaporation value, and this is actually same, and after this time evaporation will take so this will be influenced by the evaporation. So evaporation is influencing the drain outflow after 10 days. So this is how you can put all this value, and you can solve for fluctuating water table using DZU Hellinger formula. So in the today's class, what we are seeing, so we have started with the comparison of steady and non-steady approach and what are the limitations in the steady approach. And if you go with the steady state approach, means that we are going essentially with the average condition, and we are indirectly taking care of like unsteady behavior. Okay. Then we have started with the falling water table. We have seen the expression of Glover-Dunn equation. Okay. And then we have seen one example on this falling water table in which flow is essentially the horizontal flow. Then we have seen the next case for fluctuating water table that can be solved with the help of DZU and Hellinger formula. And then we have seen one example on this fluctuating water table case, that is actually your non-steady state condition. So with that, we'll stop here for this fifth lecture of the subsurface drainage system. In the next class, we are going to discuss more on the basic drainage criteria. Okay. So with that, I'll stop here. Thank you.